What do you know? We are live. Welcome to this live English lesson about Thanksgiving. We are going to talk all about what Thanksgiving is, why do we celebrate it, and what do we do on Thanksgiving. Give you a little hint. We eat a lot of food. So there is a Canadian Thanksgiving that I've heard about, but we're going to focus on the American Thanksgiving, which we just call Thanksgiving. Hey, shout out to Bob the Canadian right off the bat before we get started. I don't think he's watching, but he usually goes live on Fridays and he's not feeling very well. So hopefully he gets better. I don't think it's anything serious, but it's not going away. So he said he was going to the doctors today. So what we need to do is pull that up. That's the thumbnail with me. That's not my sweater. AI put that sweater on me. But the first term I would like to teach you is gratitude. Gratitude. You may know a different word that is a lot like gratitude, but Thanksgiving is a day for showing gratitude. Gratitude is thankfulness or being thankful for something. So, the main idea about Thanksgiving is that you take a day, stop for a minute, and say what you're thankful for, or at least think to yourself, what am I thankful for? And I think a lot of Americans are thankful for their health, if they have it. They're thankful for their family. They're thankful for the health of their family, things like that. There are a lot of good things in this world, and Thanksgiving is just one day that Americans stop to remind themselves what they are thankful for. So here is a sentence you can use to practice shadowing with the word gratitude. I will read it, and if you would like to repeat after me, that might help you with your speaking, or you can try to say it as I say it. I feel gratitude for my family and friends on Thanksgiving. Let's talk about when Thanksgiving is celebrated. Always the same day every year. It is the fourth Thursday in November. And that might be a little difficult to say depending on what your first language is. It is the first Thursday of every November. Thanksgiving is always celebrated on the fourth Thursday of November. So this year, Thanksgiving fell on November 23rd. But I think it was last year, Thanksgiving fell on November 30th. So a lot of Americans celebrate Thanksgiving and also celebrate Christmas. And for those Americans who celebrate Christmas, Thanksgiving is kind of that day where you go into Christmas mode. Like maybe after the Thanksgiving dinner, people are already thinking about, okay, I need to get presents for somebody. I need to start decorating my house. So this year, with Thanksgiving falling so early on the 23rd, there are more weekends before Christmas. So for those Americans who celebrate Christmas, they have a little more time to do some shopping. Yeah, if you follow the same calendar that the United States does, I think most countries do. I know Iran doesn't, maybe not Afghanistan, but you have a couple weeks in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. This year, it's a little bit longer. So if you have to get those decorations up or those Christmas presents bought, you have more time. The next one is tradition. We're going to be talking about tradition and custom in English. And to be honest, I think I use these terms interchangeably, but there is a difference that we will talk about. Tradition. A tradition is a way of doing things that is passed down from parents to children. So, one tradition that my family has for Thanksgiving is that we will celebrate with family and friends. That's what a lot of Americans do. But we'll also have turkey, which is a lot of Americans will do that. But because my wife is from the South, one tradition that my family has that other families don't is different kinds of foods that we will talk about later on in the English lesson. So, tradition will often be different from family to family. So, my family might do slightly different traditions than other American families, which is a little different from custom. So, one tradition that my family had when I was living with my parents is that my mom would get up really early on Thanksgiving to start cooking the turkey. And so by the time the rest of us woke up, we would smell that turkey cooking. That's one tradition that my family had. Now, today, we don't get the big turkeys that my family used to get. So it doesn't take quite as long to cook. So our traditions might be a little bit different now that I have my children. How about this? This is a tradition almost every American family has, like almost. One tradition on Thanksgiving is eating turkey for dinner. Yeah, a lot of people do that. A tradition that we didn't do this tradition yesterday. Don't think we did it last year either. But my brother in law will sometimes fry a turkey, which is a little different from some Americans. Most of the time, the turkey is baked in the oven. But for about 10 years, I think there was a turkey fried every Thanksgiving. It's a little dangerous. And since Thanksgiving was at my house yesterday, we didn't fry the turkey. No, we did. Last year, we did fry the turkey at my house. Hey, what I would like to do right now is play you a short video. It's about a minute long, and I filmed it this morning, the day after Thanksgiving. But what I want to do is show you what my family's like table decorations looked like. So my wife did all of this. I did none of it. To be honest, I was sick the day before Thanksgiving. I was a little sick yesterday, and I'm feeling much better today. So big shout out to Jamie. She did all of the decorating. I did some of the cleaning, and I got sick halfway through the day. So here it is. Jamie and I hosted Thanksgiving yesterday. That's the verb we would use. Everybody came to our house. And by everybody, I mean my brother, his family, my sister, her family. I think we had like 11 or 12 people here. So there was a little table down there. It had some decorations on it. And up here was where I think we were able to fit everybody up here, but some of the food was down there. So those things were like a little bit more decorated, like the pumpkins weren't turned over and they had lights on them, but it was good to have everybody at the house and eat lots of food and watch lots of football. All right. Hopefully you like that little video I filmed so you could get a first-hand look at an American Thanksgiving. Last year, I think I filmed a video before Thanksgiving. Tradition, we talked about that. And then we said that one tradition on Thanksgiving is eating turkey for dinner. Now, custom is a little different. And as I said before, I will use these interchangeably, but some people may use them like what their real definition is. So, custom. A custom is a usual way of doing things in a particular culture or group. So, tradition will be different from family to family, but custom usually means like the whole country does it this way, or like a big section of the country does it this way. And I thought that weddings will be different all around the world. And one custom when it comes to weddings, at least where I live in the United States, is this thing. It is a custom that a man should not see his wife to be the night before they get married. Now, things are changing with weddings and all that, but one of the traditions of getting married was the custom of the man not like the people getting married, they don't see each other the night before. And I think my wife and I were both out in the same town with our friends, and we almost ran into each other using that English phrasal verb. But one of my friends said, no, 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 Jamie's down that way. We have to go a different way. So we didn't see each other that night. So that is a custom for some people in the United States, not to see each other before the wedding and the night before. And some brides, a custom for them would be to wear a white wedding dress. So hopefully to clear up the difference between tradition and custom. A tradition has more to do with the family, and custom has more to do with a group of people, maybe even a whole country. So that's the difference between tradition and custom. How about this one? Gather. This is a great verb to know, gather, and you can use it a couple different ways. So yesterday, my family gathered together and ate Thanksgiving dinner. Gather is a verb meaning come together or meet in one place. So you can actually turn that into a noun, and you can have a gathering. That would be the noun. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Families gather around the table for Thanksgiving dinner. And in that picture, you can see it looks like people are gathering around the table. Maybe they just had Thanksgiving dinner and they are about to have dessert. That looks like a pie of some sort. But gather doesn't have to have something to do with family. It could be that you're collecting items. So here is a sentence with that kind of verb. Same word, just a little different meaning. I gathered a lot of apples from the tree so I could make an apple pie. So gather, make that a little bigger. You can see this person is gathering apples, stems and all. That green thing on the apple, we would call that a stem, and the bigger green things are leaves. But you could also, I'm not sure if I have a picture. Yeah, I don't have a picture for the noun form gathering, but I do have a sentence. A gathering is another way to say a party. You might have a get together for Thanksgiving, which is another way to say gathering. Get together is a noun also. So if I hear party, I might think more energy, like maybe loud music is playing. A gathering and a get together is probably a little more low key, to use some slang. There probably isn't loud music playing. There probably isn't dancing like you would have at a party. So hopefully that makes sense. You can have a get together, you can have a gathering, you can have a party. It's all when people come together in one place to celebrate something. Let me take a minute to talk about today's sponsor, Link. It is the app I have been using for the last 4 years to learn Italian and Portuguese. And right now, for their Black Friday sale, they are offering a deal to new users where you get 40% off a 12-month membership. One of the things I like most about Link is the amount of lessons you can learn with is limitless. There is no limit. If you see a news article you want to learn with, you can import it in Link. Any of my lessons on YouTube, you can import that into Link. And Link keeps track of the words you know and the words you don't know. And the best thing about Link is that you can learn from anywhere. Maybe you like learning on the desktop computer. You can do that. I prefer to learn on my phone. I even studied Link on a plane. So if Link sounds like something you might like, go to the comment section and find that link that will give you 40% off. And now back to the English lesson at a construction site. Let's talk about this word, parade. Do you know this one? Parade? Yesterday, most of my family watched the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade. That is a tradition that my family has. A lot of families in the United States have this tradition. But a parade is a public celebration where people and vehicles move in a line to entertain others. There's sometimes marching bands and floats. In that sentence, float is a noun. You might know the verb float. It means to be in the air with nothing below it. So think of a balloon. If there is helium inside that balloon will probably float. But when we talk about parades, that thing right there would be called a float. Sometimes they do, float in the air, but sometimes they are like this big turkey thing, and maybe they have wheels, so they will roll on the ground, but they're still called floats. So those things in a parade are called floats. They're not a marching band, but those other things are called floats in a parade. Excuse me. Drinking a lot of liquid today. Here's a sentence for you with parade. We watched the Thanksgiving parade with colorful balloons and marching bands. Hopefully that one helps right there. What about this? These are some of my favorite meals, to be honest. Potluck. Do you know that term in English? Potluck. Well, before we get to the sentence, just take a look at that picture. I don't know about you, but that looks pretty delicious to me. Now, I know my brother, Ben, he's been on the channel quite a bit. He doesn't like foods that are white or yellow in color. He's a little weird, right? He doesn't like butter. He doesn't like sour cream. Some of my favorite foods, if you can call sour cream and butter food. But he would not like this. But I don't know. This just kind of looks like delicious to me. So this could be a potluck dinner. And if you have a potluck dinner, it is a meal where Everyone gathers, but they bring their own dish, enough to share with everybody. So here is a definition of what potluck is. It's a meal where each guest will bring a food they made or bought to share with everyone else. And so when you go to a potluck dinner, there may be some food there that you really like and maybe some food that you skip. But there's usually plenty to eat because people bring dishes like this. I don't know. It looks like some deviled eggs there in the middle. Maybe some sandwiches there. I don't know, some pasta salad. I don't know. It doesn't look very healthy. Ooh, it does look like there might be fruit in the back. So you may have to reach over to get to that fruit. But that looks like a potluck dinner to me. Here's a sentence using potluck for you. Our Thanksgiving, let me try to read that correctly. Our Thanksgiving dinner is a potluck, with everyone bringing their favorite food to share. Now, that's not exactly how our Thanksgiving dinner worked yesterday. I will talk more about that when I talk about main dish versus side dish. But I do know some families will have a potluck dinner kind of style Thanksgiving dinner. But now we need to talk about homemade versus store bought. And I think just by the words themselves, this should be pretty easy to understand. So, some people yesterday, when they came to my house, my family, they might have made some things, some items at their house, or they may have bought them at the store. So, I do have some sentences for you and some definitions just to make it a little more clear. But homemade is exactly what it sounds like. You make it at home. And you might also hear that word from scratch. From scratch. So if you have something homemade, it could be from a box or it could be from scratch. For example, if I made a cake at home from a box, that means most of the ingredients would come from a box. I might have to add water, eggs, maybe some cooking oil, some vegetable oil, maybe some milk. But most of the ingredients would come from a box. So we would call that, it's homemade, but it's from a box. It's not from scratch. To make a cake from scratch, you would need eggs, flour, sugar, and stuff like that. So hopefully that makes sense. Two types of homemade items. Could be from scratch, could be from a box. Both are delicious, but maybe the one from scratch tastes just a little bit better. Maybe it was made with love, a little more love. But hey, don't knock store-bought items. When I say don't knock it, it means, don't hate on it. It's not that bad. Show it a little bit of love. We do have the saying in English, don't knock it till you try it. So maybe, oh, my brother, he would never do this. But let's say I had some potatoes with butter and sour cream, and I said to him, hey, try these potatoes. He's like, oh, no, that's gross. I'm like, hey, don't knock it until you try it. Which means don't say you hate it before you eat it. Give a little taste. He would never do it, though. He would never do it. So store-bought, that's exactly what it sounds like as well. Store-bought is exactly what it sounds like too. You buy it from a store. So yesterday for our desserts, I think they were all store. No, they were not. Hang on. They were not all store-bought. So I know Jamie made some cookies. They were homemade. I think some were from scratch and some were from a box. Excuse me. But I do know some of the desserts we had were pies and they were store bought. Yeah. I don't think anybody made a pie crust or anything like that. I think I think we had 3 pies. I'm not a pie guy. I didn't have any pie yesterday, but I think we had like 3 pies and they were all store bought, I think. I'm not a big pie guy, not a big dessert guy, to be honest. We haven't talked about this verb. I do love this verb, and it is gobble. Gobble has a couple different meanings. But because this is Thanksgiving and a lot of Americans eat turkey for Thanksgiving, gobble is the sound a turkey makes. But it can also be used to describe eating food quickly. So when kids are young, at least in English, and probably in your first language too, parents will teach children the sounds that animals make. So in English, a sheep goes ba, ba, and a cow goes moo. And I think the reason that parents do this, they might not know it, but it helps their children practice making some of those sounds in English. So cows go moo and sheep go ba. But turkeys gobble. Yeah. So parents will say, a turkey says gobble, 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 gobble. I'm not sure why. It really doesn't sound like what a turkey makes, but we do say gobble for the sound a turkey makes. They go gobble, gobble, gobble. All right. But you can also hear, oh, yeah, I have a sentence for you. I have a sentence. Turkeys make a funny gobble sound, and some people say, I gobble my food. One thing that makes me mad about English is that sometimes when there's a Y at the end of a noun and you want to make it plural, you want to make it more than one, you change that Y to IES. But guess what? For turkeys, you don't. You just simply add the S. Turkeys make a funny gobble sound. And sometimes people say, I gobble my food. You might hear this English phrasal verb. I'm hoping that this is new for you. Gobble up. Gobble up. That means when there is food on the table, but somebody eats it all really quickly, you can say, wow, they gobbled up all of the potato. Who ate all the potato? Who gobbled up all the potato? You might be kind of mad about that. Gobbled up. Now it looks like that guy is gobbling up noodles. Oh man, noodles. Noodles sound really good. But today, Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, is a time where a lot of American families will eat leftovers. Leftovers. And that's another word that sounds pretty much like the word left over. Leftovers. Leftovers. It's food that is still not eaten after a meal. So yesterday, after we finished eating, there were a lot of leftovers. A lot of pies, a lot of cookies not eaten. A lot of people didn't leave room for dessert. So each of my family members, I guess, picked some leftovers they would like to take home with them. Jamie and I did not want to keep that food in the house because we would probably eat it and we would just, have more calories and gain weight. We didn't want that. So I think everybody who was here took some food home. There was leftovers after the meal, and they took that food home. Here is something that is true for a lot of Americans. Not me, because I'm not a turkey guy, but we enjoy turkey sandwiches as leftovers for a few days after Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is always on Thursday. And so maybe by Sunday, you don't want to keep eating that turkey because it might go bad. But for a couple days after, if you have a lot of leftovers, you might have turkey sandwiches. We have main dish versus side dish. So we have to talk about these two here. Main dish versus side dish. So for any meal, the main dish is probably meat. Maybe. Probably. Let's talk about what main dish is. A main dish is the most important food item in a meal. It's often meat. Not always, but often. And for Thanksgiving, the main dish for most American families is turkey. But my favorite part of Thanksgiving are the side dishes. So the side dishes are pretty much everything besides the main dish. And when you talk about potluck, if you go back to potluck, where everybody brings a dish, potluck is often a meal of just side dishes. There really isn't a main dish when it comes to having potluck dinners. One of my favorite side dishes is dressing. Now, there is a little controversy in the United States. Some people call it stuffing. Some people call it dressing. So dressing or stuffing is a side dish that is basically bread made with cornmeal, often served as a side dish, usually lots of butter. For my dressing, I like to put in maybe some cut up really fine, like chopped egg, maybe some celery, lots of butter. Did I mention butter? Lots of butter. Maybe small pieces of chicken, maybe some chicken stock. So if you hear dressing, it might look like this, and it's made in a pan. But if we go back to this turkey here, it looks like there might be breadcrumbs inside that turkey. And so a lot of people would call that stuffing. Okay, stuffing looks like that inside a turkey. And that is dressing. All right, but we have something called cranberry sauce, which I love to put cranberry sauce into my dressing. I love mixing those two things together. That cranberry sauce in the pitcher comes from a can. It's canned cranberry sauce. I think it tastes better, but some people like homemade cranberry sauce where you can actually see the little bits of fruit in it. Not me. I grew up with the canned cranberry sauce, and I think everybody at the dinner table yesterday preferred canned cranberry sauce over homemade cranberry sauce. Call these things mashed potatoes in English. I'm sure you have a different name in your language. I don't know. I love, what is French? Is it pomme de terre? Isn't that it? Pomme de terre in French? I don't know what mashed potatoes are, but I do like that word in French. It literally means apples of the earth, right? Pomme de terre. Yeah, good stuff. But in English, we take those potatoes and we mash them. Mash. I suppose you could mash somebody in the face. If you want to go faster in your car, you could mash on the gas pedal, but you can also mash potatoes, mix them with some salt, pepper, butter, sour cream, gravy. We'll talk about gravy in just a minute. But I do like mashed potatoes as long as they don't get too cold. And they cool off rather quickly. So you should gobble them up, to go back to a term we learned a few minutes ago. Gravy. I like gravy. I'm not a big turkey guy. I'm not a big meat guy. And for some reason, I like gravy. My wife is the opposite. Jamie likes meat more than I do. She likes turkey and steak, but I like gravy. It's weird. She doesn't. Anyways, I thought this term might be kind of cool. You mostly just see this on Thanksgiving, but you might put a gravy boat on the table. And a gravy boat is, I think I have a sentence for you. It's just a gravy boat is a small boat shaped container used to serve gravy at the table. It's called a gravy boat. And it looks like that. Yeah. You can pour the gravy over your turkey or your potatoes. What about this? Rolls. I think this is my brother. Yes, he said it yesterday. His favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner are the rolls. And I wanted to teach a verb that you might not know. So those are rolls. They're just like little bready things. I don't think you need a definition, right? Since you have a picture there. Those are what rolls are. But that verb spread. So I like to spread butter on warm rolls during Thanksgiving dinner. You might take a little pat of butter and then spread it with a knife on the rolls. Somebody just texted me. Oh. My wife is Black Friday shopping, and I think she got a good deal. Like pecan pie. I think she got a pecan pie. So we'll look forward to that when she gets home. And I think we have one more. Cider. My family, we do not have the tradition of drinking cider at Thanksgiving, but some people do. It's a little bit different from juice. So cider is made with apples almost all the time. Cider is made from apples, but there's less sugar than juice. And sometimes you might find like little bits of apple in the cider. So, cider is a non alcoholic beverage made from pressed apples. I like cider. I just don't drink it during Thanksgiving. But you might hear hard cider in English. And if you do, be careful. That cider is going to have alcohol in it. Hard cider.